At the beginning of this month, way back before it started snowing in my town, like it did today, back when it was shorts weather at the start of this month, on Saturday, October 1st, the Washington Post published a story that still now, weeks later, seems impossible. Rick Perry, governor of Texas for the last 10 years, now a Republican presidential contender, grew up in a place called Paint Creek, Texas, and nearby Paint Creek, Texas, his family maintained a hunting camp, and the name of that hunting camp was something I cannot say, and it's not just because I'm on TV that I can't say it. According to the Post, the name was painted across a large flat rock standing at the gated entrance to the camp. Mr. Perry said that his family painted over the offensive name when they first started using the camp in the early 1980s, but the Post spoke to people who remember seeing the name painted on the rock much more recently. Now, the N-word head story about Rick Perry got a huge flurry of attention when it first came out, but then it pretty quickly went away. I think it went away in part because it's hard to talk about. You have to be awkward and very complicatedly verbose to discuss the offensiveness of a word that is so offensive that nobody wants to pronounce it.
Texas Governor Rick Perry, who is running for the Republican presidential nomination, is in the middle of another controversy, this one involving the name of the family hunting camp, a name that used to include a racial obscenity painted on a rock at the entrance.
The racial slur painted on a rock out front.
The racial epithet was visible on a rock.
The racial slur.
A racially charged name.
Rick Perry said his father painted over the word.
Perry's campaign maintains the name was changed.
Several people told the Washington Post they could still read the word as recently as a few years back.
The Texas governor had a camp that was called such an offensive name.
And racial epithet, that name, you know the one, that offensive one. It's hard to cover this stuff. And after all that initial and very tense and awkward flurry of initial attention right at the beginning of the month, the whole story about Rick Perry hunting and entertaining people at a place named for the N-word, the whole controversy went away quickly. And so now Rick Perry is free, as of this week, to move on to insinuating that President Obama faked his birth certificate and secretly isn't really American. As in, don't worry, America, we haven't really had our first black president yet because Barack Obama secretly isn't really the president. One person who has decided to not let the Rick Perry N-word hunting camp story fall out of the news cycle is comedian Sarah Silverman, who on Tuesday night in Texas is hosting a comedy show called Live from N-word Head, subtitle, Stripping the Paint Off of Good Old-Fashioned Racism, with all proceeds from the show going, fittingly, to the NAACP. Joining us tonight for the interview is the great and good Sarah Silverman. Sarah, thank you for being here. It's nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be on here. My mother almost died when she left a message on my machine saying that she was on all fours scrubbing the bathroom floor when she heard Rachel say that I was going to be on tomorrow. And she's very excited. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hello, Mrs. Silverman.
O'Hara. But that's okay.
Sorry, that's awkward. Speaking of awkward, I am not actually sure how to ask you a question about the title of your show. So asking about the subtitle, Stripping the Paint Off of Good Old-Fashioned Racism, is the idea here that the Rick Perry camp name controversy should not be over?
Yeah, I think that anytime racism shows itself in a tangible way, it's not just a gas in the air, it's important to take the opportunity to point at it. You know, I think it's dangerous when it just kind of goes away. And, you know, here's a guy who is a governor and running for president, and it has not injured him in any way, really. I mean,
do you think
that's bizarre,
Do
right?
you think that the controversy went away in part because it is really awkward to talk about it? Or is it because racism allegations like this just don't really matter? It just don't hurt a guy like Rick Perry in Republican politics?
I partially blame the media, actually. I mean, Rachel, I have no religion, but am I crazy? I miss the Jew-run banks and media. I think that wouldn't have been let go so fast. What?
No, it's, I'm just waiting. Just waiting for the next thing so that I don't have to respond to that.
I could keep going if you want.
Please keep going.
Okay, geez. We are raising, all the money's going to the NAACP. We're going to put some money aside for a second coat of paint.
That's fair enough.
For that rock. God, it's another time that we're focusing on a rock.
Do you think
that's a wordplay joke?
Yes, I'm with you on that one. Do you think that Rick Perry moving on to the Barack Obama secretly isn't really president birtherism, birth certificate controversy thing? Is that important? Is that a separate issue? Is that also part of a race issue with him?
I think it's just, I'm always amazed by the nerve of the Republican Party. And I just feel like it's hilarious when I hear it. It's hilarious to me on one hand. And then on the other hand, I remember the Bush-Kerry election and the Bush-Gore election, and it wipes the condescending smile off my face. I think that it has to be taken seriously that there's a chance that people like this are popular.
Well, the guy who's actually leading the polls right now on the Republican side, for the first time ever, Republicans have an African-American as their national frontrunner. Now, there's this weird thing in that Herman Cain is ahead in all of the polls right now. He is leading nationally, but nobody says that they think that he will win. But he is ahead. Does that factor into how you see race in the Republican Party and how they're dealing, and even the Rick Perry racism issue?
No, not really. And I think that I'll tell you why he's ahead. You know how they say, like, when terrible, horribly made commercials are on the air, apply directly to the head or all that stuff, they always say, hey, you're talking about it. And I think that's what attributes to his success. Those commercials are crazy, right?
The smoking one is supposed to be appealing because we're supposed to think that smoking is both awesome and taboo. Is that how that's supposed to work? Because it's true, the thing about the smoking one, it is shocking, but nobody can quite explain why.
It is kind of like a screw you to anyone affiliated with progress or the future, or, you know what I mean? But smoking is taboo and cool.
Something about seeing that guy smoking doesn't make it seem as cool as when I see other people smoking, though. Do you know what I mean? It's not a real Marlboro Man kind of moment. It's not the same as, like, Carrie Bradshaw smoking. Yeah, it's not. Maybe if it was a slim cigarette. Do you think that Obama is going to be reelected?
I don't know. I hope so. I want to see him in a second term really do stuff. Don't you?
Will you organize a schlep again?
It'd have to be some new version, you know. My ride is here.
And maybe this and maybe this time it would have to be a schlep to Ohio or something. Sarah Silverman, thank you for being here. And I'm sorry that I called your mother by the wrong last name, but it's really nice that she watches the show.
No, there's no reason you would know. She married an Irish Catholic.
Good to know. Sarah Silverman, the show is called Live from N-Word Head, stripping the paint off good old-fashioned racism. Austin, Texas, Tuesday night, the Paramount Theater, proceeds going to the NAACP, which seems quite fitting. Sarah, thank you very much for being with us. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Rachel. I love you.
I love you back, man. Okay, cocktail moment still to come. I have to warn you, this is the laziest cocktail moment we have ever done. It is a cocktail moment for people who just can't really be bothered. But first up next, somebody needs to shut their pie hole. With respect, but seriously, somebody needs to shut it. That's next.